Psalm 119, verse 1. Blessed are the undefiled in the way, who walk in the law of the Lord. Verse 2. Blessed are they that keep his testimonies, and that seek him with the whole heart. Verse 3. They also do no iniquity, they walk in his ways. Verse 4. Thou hast commanded us to keep thy precepts diligently. Verse 5. Oh, that my ways were directed to keep thy statutes. Verse 6. Then shall I not be ashamed, when I have respect unto all thy commandments. Verse 7. I will praise thee with uprightness of heart, when I shall have learned thy righteous judgments. Verse 8. I will keep thy statutes. O forsake me not utterly. Verse 9. Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed thereto according to thy word. Verse 10. With my whole heart have I sought thee. O let me not wander from thy commandments. Verse 11. Thy word have I hid in mine heart, that I might not sin against thee. Verse 12. Blessed art thou, O Lord, teach me thy statutes. Verse 13. With my lips have I declared all the judgments of thy mouth. Verse 14. I have rejoiced in the way of thy testimonies, as much as in all riches. Verse 15. I will meditate in thy precepts, and have respect unto thy ways. Verse 16. I will delight myself in thy statutes. I will not forget thy word. Verse 17. Deal bountifully with thy servant, that I may live and keep thy word. Verse 18. Open thou mine eyes, that I may behold wondrous things out of thy law. Verse 19. I am a stranger in the earth. Hide not thy commandments from me. Verse 20. My soul breaketh for the longing that it hath unto thy judgments at all times. Verse 21. Thou hast rebuked the proud that are cursed, which do err from thy commandments. Verse 22. Take away from me scorn and contempt, for I have kept thy testimonies. Verse 23. Princes also did sit and speak against me, but thy servant did meditate in thy statutes. Verse 24. Thy testimonies are my delight, yea, my counselors. Verse 25. My soul cleaveth unto the dust. Quicken thou me according to thy word. Verse 26. I have declared my ways, and thou heardest me. Teach me thy statutes. Verse 27. Make me to understand the way of thy precepts. So shall I talk of thy wondrous works. Verse 28. My soul melteth for sorrow. Strengthen thou me according unto thy word. Verse 29. Remove from me the way of lying, and grant me thy law graciously. Verse 30. I have chosen the way of truth. Thy judgments have I laid before me. Verse 31. I have stuck unto thy testimonies. O Lord, put me not to shame. Verse 32. I will run the way of thy commandments, when thou shalt enlarge my heart. Verse 33. Teach me, O Lord, the way of thy statutes, and I shall keep it unto the end. Verse 34. Give me understanding, and I shall keep thy law. Yea, I shall observe it with my whole heart. Verse 35. Make me to go in the path of thy commandments, for therein do I delight. Verse 36. Turn my heart toward thy testimonies, and not toward covetousness. Verse 37, turn away my eyes from beholding vanity, and quicken thou my soul in thy way. Verse 38, confirm unto thy servant thy promise, which is for them that fear thee. Verse 39, turn away the reproach which I fear. Thy judgments are good. Verse 40, behold, I have longed after thy precepts. Quicken me in thy righteousness. Verse 41, let thy tender mercies come unto me, that I may live, for thy law is my delight. Verse 42, so shall I have wherewith to answer him that reproacheth me, for I trust in thy word. Verse 43, and take not the word of truth utterly out of my mouth, for I have hoped in thy judgments. Verse 44, so shall I keep thy law continually forever and ever. Verse 45, and I will walk at liberty, for I seek thy precepts. Verse 46, I will speak of thy testimonies also before kings, and will not be ashamed. Verse 47, and I will delight myself in thy commandments which I have loved. Verse 48, my hands also will I lift up unto thy commandments which I have loved, and I will meditate in thy statutes. Verse 49, remember the word unto thy servant, upon which thou hast caused me to hope. Verse 50, this is my comfort in my affliction, for thy word hath quickened me. Verse 51, the proud have had me greatly in derision, yet have I not declined from thy law. Verse 52, I remembered thy judgments of old, O Lord, and have comforted myself. Verse 53, hot indignation is fallen upon me, because of the wicked who forsake thy law. Verse 54, thy statutes have been my songs in the house of my pilgrimage. Verse 55, I have remembered thy name, O Lord, in the night, and have kept thy law. Verse 56, this I had, because I kept thy precepts. Verse 57, thou art my portion, O Lord. I have said that I would keep thy words. Verse 58, I entreated thy favor with my whole heart. Be merciful unto me according to thy word. Verse 59, I thought on my ways, and turned my feet unto thy testimonies. Verse 60, I made haste, and delayed not to keep thy commandments. Verse 61, the bands of the wicked have robbed me, but I have not forgotten thy law. Verse 62, at midnight I will meditate upon thy word. Verse 63, and will watch at my windows, for thy words are my delight. Verse 64, while the wicked are swollen, they are confident because of the lapses of thy word. Verse 65, thou hast dealt well with thy servant, O Lord, according unto thy word. Verse 66, teach me good judgment and knowledge, for I have believed thy commandments. Verse 67, before I was afflicted I went astray, but now have I kept thy word. Verse 68, thou art good, and doest good. Teach me thy statutes. Verse 69, the proud have forged a lie against me, but I will keep thy precepts with my whole heart. Verse 70, their heart is as fat as grease, but I delight in thy law. Verse 71, it is good for me that I have been afflicted, that I might learn thy statutes. Verse 72, the law of thy mouth is better unto me than thousands of gold and silver. Verse 73, Thy hands have made me and fashioned me. Give me understanding, that I may learn thy commandments. Verse 74. They that fear thee will be glad when they see me, because I have hoped in thy word. Verse 75. I know, O Lord, that thy judgments are right, and that thou in faithfulness hast afflicted me. Verse 76. Let, I pray, thy merciful kindness be for my comfort, according to thy word, unto thy servant. Verse 77. Let thy tender mercies come unto me, that I may live, for thy law is my delight. Verse 78. Let the proud be ashamed, for they dealt perversely with me without a cause. But I will meditate in thy precepts. Verse 79. Let those that fear thee turn to me, and those that have known thy testimonies. Verse 80. Let my heart be sound in thy statutes, that I be not ashamed. Verse 81. My soul fainteth for thy salvation, but I hope in thy word. Verse 82. My eyes fail for thy word, saying, when wilt thou comfort me? Verse 83. For I am become like a bottle in the smoke, yet do I not forget thy statutes. Verse 84. How many are the days wherein thou dost torment me? When wilt thou execute judgment on them that persecute me? Verse 85. The proud have digged pits for me, and are not without. But my soul shall be brought out of their congeries. Verse 86. All thy commandments are faithful. They persecute me wrongfully. Help thou me. Verse 87. They had almost consumed me upon earth, but I forsook not thy precepts. Verse 88. Quicken me after thy loving kindness, so shall I keep the testimony of thy mouth. Verse 89. Forever, O Lord, thy word is settled in heaven. Verse 90. Thy faithfulness is unto all generations. Thou hast established the earth, and it abideth. Verse 91. They continue this day according to thine ordinances, for all are thy servants. Verse 92. If thy law had not been my delight, I would have perished in mine affliction. Verse 93. I will never forget thy precepts, for with them thou hast quickened me. Verse 94. I am thine, save me, for I have sought thy precepts. Verse 95. The wicked have waited for me to destroy me, but I will consider thy testimonies. Verse 96. I have seen an end of all perfection, but thy commandment is exceeding broad. Verse 97. Oh, how love I thy law! It is my meditation all the day. Verse 98. Thou, through thy commandments, hast made me wiser than mine enemies, for they are ever with me. Verse 99. I have more understanding than all my teachers, for thy testimonies are my meditation. Verse 100. I understand more than the ancients, because I keep thy precept. Verse 101. I have refrained my feet from every evil way, that I might keep thy word. Verse 102. I have not departed from thy judgments, for thou hast taught me. Verse 103. How sweet are thy words unto my taste, yea, sweeter than honey to my mouth. Verse 104. Through thy precepts I get understanding, therefore I hate every false way. Verse 105. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. Verse 106 I have sworn, and I will perform it, that I will keep thy righteous judgments. Verse 107 I am afflicted very much. O Lord, quicken me according to thy word. Verse 108 Accept, O Lord, the works of my hands, and answer me according to thy word. Verse 109 The sum of thy word is truth, and every one of thy righteous judgments endureth forever. Verse 110 The wicked have waited for me to destroy me, but I will consider thy testimonies. Verse 111 Thy word is very pure, therefore thou hast loved it. Verse 112 My heart is set upright, O Lord, according to thy word. Verse 113 I hate the double-minded, but thy law do I love. Verse 114 Thou art my hiding place and my shield. I hope in thy word. Verse 115 Depart from me, ye wicked, for I will keep the commandments of my God. Verse 116 Uphold me according unto thy word, that I may live, and let me not be ashamed of my hope. Verse 117 Hold me up, and I shall be safe, and I will rejoice in thy statutes continually. Verse 118 Thou hast trodden down all them that err from thy way, for their deceit is false. Verse 119 Thou puttest away the scorner, because I loved thy testimonies. Verse 120 My flesh trembleth for fear of thee, and I am afraid of thy judgments. Verse 121 I have done judgment and justice. Leave me not to the oppressor. Verse 122 Be surety for thy servant forever, that thou mayest have mercy on me. Verse 123 Mine eyes run down the water of remembrance, because thou hast given me thy precepts. Verse 124 Deal with thy servant according unto thy mercy, and teach me thy statutes. Verse 125 I am thy servant. Give me understanding, that I may know thy testimonies. Verse 126 It is time for thee, O Lord, to work, for they have made void thy law. Verse 127 Therefore I love thy commandments above gold, yea, above fine gold. Verse 128 Therefore I esteem all thy precepts concerning all things to be right, and I hate every false way. Verse 129 Thy testimonies are wonderful, therefore doth my soul keep them. Verse 130 The entrance of thy words giveth light, it giveth understanding unto the simple. Verse 131 I opened my mouth and panted, for I longed for thy commandments. Verse 132 Look upon me, and be gracious to me, as is thy way with those that love thy name. Verse 133 Direct my steps by thy word, and let no iniquity have dominion over me. Verse 134 Redeem me from the oppression of man, so will I keep thy precepts. Verse 135 Make thy face to shine upon thy servant, and teach me thy statutes. Verse 136, rivers of waters run down mine eyes, because men do not keep thy law. Verse 137, righteous art thou, O Lord, and upright are thy judgments. Verse 138, thy testimonies are the rejoicing of my heart, and my soul doth rejoice in thy word. Verse 139, my substance is not affected, because I have hope in thy word. Verse 140, the earth, O Lord, is full of thy mercy. Teach me thy statutes. Verse 141, thou hast preserved my life, and hast not suffered my feet to slip. Verse 142, I have followed the way of thy commandments, for thou hast broadened my heart. Verse 143, I am nearly broken in my spirit, but thy commandments are my delight. Verse 144, thy word is tried and eternal, therefore hast thou loved it. Verse 145, I cried with my whole heart, answer me, O Lord. Verse 146, I cried unto thee, save me, and I will keep thy statutes. Verse 147, I prevented the dawning of the morning and cried, I hoped in thy word. Verse 148, mine eyes prevented the night watches, that I might meditate in thy word. Verse 149, hear my voice according to thy loving kindness. O Lord, quicken me according to thy judgment. Verse 150, they drive o'er near that follow after mischief. They are far from thy law. Verse 151, thou art near, O Lord, and all thy commandments are truth. Verse 152, concerning thy testimonies, I have known of old that thou hast founded them forever. Verse 153, look unto me, and have mercy upon me, as thou lovest thy name. Verse 154, keep me and deliver me, quicken me according to thy word. Verse 155, graciously have mercy upon me, O Lord, according to thy word. Verse 156, plead my cause, O Lord, and deliver me. O save me according to thy word. Verse 157, my soul is troubled at the voice of thy reprimandings, therefore I love thy words. Verse 158, I am weary with my afflictions. Quicken me according to thy word. Verse 159, though the proud have built up a wall against me, my heart shall rejoice when I hear thy words. Verse 160, thy word is true from the beginning, and every one of thy righteous judgments endureth forever. Verse 161, rulers have persecuted me without a cause, but my heart standeth in awe of thy word. Verse 162, I rejoice in thy word, as one that findeth great spoil. Verse 163, I hate and abhor lying, but thy law do I love. Verse 164, 7 times a day do I praise thee because of thy righteous judgments. Verse 165, great peace have they which love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. Verse 166, I have hoped for thy salvation, O Lord, and done thy commandments. Verse 167, my soul is full of thy mercy. Teach me thy statutes. Verse 168, I have imparted my ways, and thou heardest me. Teach me thy statutes. Verse 169. Let my cry come near unto thee, O Lord. Give me understanding according to thy word. Verse 170. Let my supplication come before thee. Deliver me according to thy word. Verse 171. My lips shall utter praise, when thou hast taught me thy statutes. Verse 172. My tongue shall sing of thy word, for all thy commandments are righteousness. Verse 173. Let thy hand be ready to help me, for I have chosen thy precepts. Verse 174. I have longed for thy salvation, O Lord, and thy law is my delight. Verse 175. Let my soul live, and it shall praise thee, and let thy judgments help me. Verse 176. I have gone astray like a lost sheep. Seek thy servant, for I do not forget thy commandments.